This is David Place with ICM 601. This is my master's capstone presentation. My capstone project is My Pet Vet, a mobile application to track and update the medical treatment of pets, domestic animals, livestock, show animals. At this point, the capstone project is an information architecture that is intended to be developed into a fully functional application that will be published on the Apple store for the iPhone and the iOS. This is what I started out with. This is basically a very simplistic flow chart to help me. I used a free software on the internet to help me create this flow chart, and like I said, it's just something simple to organize my ideas, the very first starting point for the project. You can see that initially I wanted a home page, a profile area, medical data, a medicine database, organization area to put the vets that treat the animal, and in a link to the iPhone calendar or a internal appointment calendar. At this time I wasn't sure if it was going to go to the iCalendar or to an appointment calendar. Underneath the pet's profile, I wanted an area to upload the pet's picture, to input the name, the age, the species, breed, if it's spayed or neutered, store its vaccination records, microchip information, yes or no does it have a microchip, if there are, this is misspelled, sorry for that, but any former medical issues, okay, that should be PAST, medical issues and treatment, and current diagnosis and treatment. And over here you would have the ability to cross-reference medications to look for problems if any of those conflicted, and had any kind of weird counter effects. And of course you could show additional clinics where the pet was treated, and doctors that have treated the pet, and doctor's notes. Okay, so this was the starting point. From here I developed my first information architecture. Zoom out a little bit so we can see that. And the idea became a little bit more grounded. I wanted to have a link to the iCalendar inside of the iPhone. Like I said, I'm intending to design this for the iOS, and hopefully, if it's successful and it works out well, do another version for Google phones and Windows phones. Okay, so we have a calendar, an iCalendar link, a medicine database, which has the ability to log in whatever prescriptions and dosages your pet's being given for a certain condition it may have, and then a database that you can cross-reference the medications with to look for those weird effects that you might have to watch out for. Over here in the pet's profile, I wanted again to have these areas to have the pet's picture, the name, the age, species, breed, sex, spayed or neutered, vaccination records, microchip information, and then the ability to add or delete profiles. I have this application was inspired by my pet cat Chusa. I've had her for 10 years now, and she's had a very hard to beat ear infection that I've had 3 different vets see her for, and it's just, the information going from one vet through me to the next vet is kind of hard to translate. I'm a layman. I definitely don't have any medical training, and when you try to relay that information, something initially gets lost or indefinitely gets lost in the translation. You really can't speak on the same level as a medical professional if you're not one. So she inspired that, and in addition to owning Chusa, I also have a a yellow lab named Blondie, and so I could see the benefits of being able to add multiple profiles into this, which is definitely something I wanted to build in. So if I wanted to add a profile for my dog Blondie, I could also do that here, and just add multiple profiles, as many as I wanted. The next main page or main screen would be for the vets, and I wanted the vets to be able to link to the clinics that treat them, and then have, of course, the clinic's name, the contact information, and the doctor, and then a doctor's notes area. Okay, these icons I used, I sourced a website called the Noun Project, and up here inside of my legend I have the attribution for the creators of these icons here, and you'll also see that at the end I'll have kind of a works cited page to give them credit for their work. Okay, so this is the second iteration of my information architecture, and here I decided to add a little bit of info. I wanted to add the ability to create multiple clinic registries, right? Because obviously you might go to one veterinarian clinic and then transfer to another if you're not happy with them, or if you move, or whatever may happen. So I wanted to be able to add or delete multiple clinics and also multiple vets, because that's been kind of the gist of the whole thing, is you may not always see the same vet, and you may have to transfer that information from one to the other. So I wanted that that to be included, so I updated the information architecture. Here's the third information architecture, where I added a login screen. I decided I needed that. I needed an area where you could go in there and have that initial login to get into this, because this is going to be private information, and you have to, of course, log into the app. So there's a slight update there. Now we're going to go into a section that shows the very first incarnations of my wireframing. This is a very basic plotting out of the pages, basically to show the connectivity between the pages and to help me organize the structure. So this was initially the home page, and I was toying with the idea of having the navigation in the top area. Okay. Again, we see a second version here, the first version of the profile page with all of the interactive areas, which I put in rounded rectangles to kind of denote that they were interactive fields. Okay, but again, very basic, just to show the structure of how I wanted things to connect. This would be the medical page, or the medicine page rather, where you would see the prescribed medications and be able to cross-reference those into a database, and the calendar page. Okay, and then here we have the vets page and the clinics page, which are kind of all in one. Okay, so moving on, after an initial round of suggestions and critique, I decided to make this look more like an actual clickable prototype. So I developed the login page with a login screen, a new home page, and now the navigation moved down to the bottom area of the page. So we can see, let me go back to that really quickly. So you'll see that the My Pets profile, the My Pets meds, the My Pets vets, and the calendar are going to be the four main screens that I want to link to in the main sections of the application. So I put those down into the lower third, and to make it more of a universal interface design for an iOS. Okay, moving forward, this is the new profile page, and you'll see some changes that were done to this in a few moments. Initially, I had an area here where you could add and delete profile settings, and have a sub-menu and further information areas where you could input things. These arrows denoted that you could enter into those fields and do something as well, but I've refined this a little bit. So you're going to see this type of design on the next few pages. Here's the Pets Vet. You'll see it has the hamburger menu and the chevrons, basically showing you that you can come in here and change the profile settings. And just like with the profile page, a link to the iCalendar page. Okay. And then I place things in actually more of a mock-up scenario to show what the screen would look like on an iPhone, just for presentation purposes. Okay, you see some the medications page. Okay, here's the home screen. Here's an alert page when you were to click on the prescribed medications, the profile area, the vet, the iCalendar again. Okay. All right, so now we're getting on to some more refined stuff. So again, another login screen, another home screen. Okay, but I've made some changes now. So now I took off the hamburger menu and I moved the add and delete profile settings directly into this area here. Okay, I got rid of a lot of these chevrons. Now these are meant to be clickable links, so when you click them you get a rollover, or a kind of a rollover pop-up. So you'll see what I mean. So if you were to click on the age 10 years and select it, you'd get a rotating menu that would have basically a bunch of different numbers. This is similar to when you use your iPhone, if you have one, and you want to set the alarm clock. You click the clock icon and you can rotate between the numbers for the hours and the minutes, and then AM and PM. So here it would be, maybe 1 month, 2 months, or 1 month through 6 months, and then 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, all the way out until, a certain number. I suppose if you had an animal like a tortoise or something, you could actually go pretty far with the years. So all of these kind of work the same way down until you get to the vaccination records. So as you scroll, you see how the pop-ups would show up in different areas. Of course, when you get to the sex, you pretty much only have two choices, male or female. And then again, spayed. It's spayed or neutered, yes or no kind of thing. Okay. And I had a microchip registry page, and again, you could add a registry here. You'd click on that, and then you could go to another screen where you could input the information for the registry. And then you could have basically standard information about the microchip, the chip number, the brand of the chip, what frequency it operates on, what type of microchip it is, who the registered owner is, what the owner's address is, etc. Okay. All right, moving on. A vaccination records area, and this would basically show what type of vaccinations the animal has had, and just let you keep up to date with that. And you could add or delete old records or new records. So every year when you update it, you could just click on that and put in a new vaccination record. This is meant to be a cloud-based application, so you as the pet owner can access some information, but this is also intended for the veterinarian to be able to access information and to input information. So this screen, when this application goes live, this screen could possibly be something that only the vet has access to, because you don't want to have a user or an owner be able to go in there and say, okay, well, let me just put that my cat or my dog has a rabies shot. You'd actually want that validated by the clinic, and so I think this would be an area that only the medical clinic could access. Okay, again, same kind of changes here. All right. Okay, I'm just kind of moving through some of these screens. You'll see that it's been streamlined to look the same. Okay. All right. So here we have some additional things that have changed. All right, we have the doctor's notes area that I didn't show you before, so that's actually a screen that I'm showing you right now. And then here we have this this is kind of a works cited thing for some of those icons that I used. I used the noun project, okay, and that's so we have icons for everything, and then here's the URL to that website, and you'll see. Let me just kind of zoom in here a little bit so we can reflect the names of these creators. Okay, so you can see who did what, and they can get a little bit of credit for the work that they've done that I referenced. Okay, all right, so moving forward, I made some additional changes after this. Okay, so I'm going to open my clickable prototype now and kind of walk you through it. Okay, so in my clickable prototype, I added some changes based off of my review committee. So I'm using a free online software called Envision. It's used for wireframing and creating clickable prototypes. And I have the application set up right now. So this link will be provided in the final report for my project. So if I sign in, that takes me to my home screen. And from anywhere on the home screen, I can access any of the 4 main pages. I'm sorry, from the lower thirds of the home screen, I can access any of the 4 main pages. So if I go to my pet's profile, you'll see that there's been some more changes that have happened now. So on each page, we now have the ability to go home, which will take us back home. And we have the ability to log out of the app, which will take us to our initial sign-in screen. So that was something that was missing. We didn't really have an ability to go straight back to the home screen or to log back out. We had to go through kind of a breadcrumb type of thing where we had to go back to where we started. So that really needed to happen. So let me sign back in and go back to the profile area. And now I've changed this add or delete profile up to the top. Okay, so I thought we could just move that up there in some of that extra space that we had, and then put it next to an add and a delete icon to make it a little bit easier to understand. So now you see that when you click on one of these fields and you touch it, you directly get the pop-up menu. Okay, so you see it goes to each one, right? Just to give you an idea how that would work. And you can scroll through. Now when you come down to the vaccination records area, you can click on this chevron and it'll take you to an additional page. So now you have the ability to add or delete the records at the top, and you also have a date of when the vaccination was issued. So that was something that was given to me in my feedback that I thought was actually rather important. Okay, so again, you can log out from here, you can go back to the home screen, or you can choose a different area from this point. What I'm going to do is go back to the profile area right now, because I wanted to visit the microchip information. So if I click on the microchip link, you'll see again we can add or delete the registry now up at the top. So we have a consistent type of menu interface going on from one page to the next, so we're not confusing the user where they don't know where to click or they have to relearn the navigation when they land on an additional page. Okay, and when they're done with that, they can again go back to the profile. Okay, the next option would be to go to the Pets Meds. So here you can go to the Pets Meds. Now some of these are not live yet, so right now you can't add a sample medication or delete a sample medication. Okay, and I kept this down here because I could have stayed consistent with the design, but because I have these medications popping up in this area, I wanted to group this one. So this page is a little bit different. So when we go to another iteration of this after graduation, this very well may get pushed up to the top again where it says to add or delete medication for consistency. So at this point, this is something that I'm not quite sure about, and I want to use this, I want to test this on a user group. And this is basically an area that I'm very curious about, because I like keeping it grouped, but the consistency of the design may require it to go up there. So this is a question mark right now, but for the time being and during this presentation, I'm keeping it like this. Right now, the only thing active on this would be the cross-reference button. So this is, of course, representing a medication database, and you would have your prescribed medications input here, and then when you wanted to cross-reference them to see if they counteract with each other, if there's any type of allergic reaction that could happen, you hit this, and if there is, bang. Okay, this is an alert message. So this is going to tell you, hey, mixing these two medicines together can give you this type of side effect, or it can have this type of allergic reaction. Okay, so it's a warning that can pop up, and of course, if there's no weird reaction that can happen, you won't get a warning. This is another thing that I'm questioning too, because instead of just not getting a warning, I may build another screen that tells you there are no known side effects for this, or there is no known allergic reaction, or something that should just maybe give you, as the user, as the pet owner, a little bit more self-assurance when you give your animal that medication. So again, this is something that I want to test out on a user group and get some feedback with before I make that extra screen. Okay, and the next area here would be the My Pets Vets. And again, we go back to this add or delete doctor navigation. And again, like I said, the medication may need to change so it reflects that same type of consistent design. And then these are not live at the moment, but these are intended to be quick links to help you contact your doctor. So the phone icon, of course, is to call the veterinarian on file. So this would link to your address book, assuming that you don't know your veterinarian enough to have their personal phone number. It would either go to the vet, or maybe even have a second option for an emergency number for medical treatment for the animal. The ability to email the clinic directly. Okay, some of us like to do business like that. And then the third option is to link directly to the phone's camera. And this is basically for any observations you may have about the animal. Let's say your dog or your cat gets hurt and you're not sure what's going on, and you want to send that information directly to the clinic, either through an email or text it to someone's phone or whatever type of contact you have set up. You can click on that. It accesses the phone's camera, and it lets you take that picture. It also stores the picture, of course, for future reference. So any of you guys that own animals, you know that sometime or another you've seen your animal acting funny, or vomiting, or lethargic, or it's gotten hurt, and having that picture to show a vet at a later time is very important. Okay, and then here you would have, of course, the address and the name of the clinic and everything, and you could input this and update this. Okay, now if you've seen previous doctors, you could have previous doctors on record. Okay, so here you could have the name of the doctor, the address where they saw the pet, etc. Okay, and you can also go to those doctors' notes. So here they can have notes on the patient. Okay, and you have a back area that'll take you back to the doctor's page. All right, and from here you can also reference those doctor's notes, and it'll take you back once more. And then lastly, you have a link to an iCalendar. So when you hit this last link, it will put you back to the original. It'll put you in touch with your iCalendar, so you can set appointments or reminders for appointments, and get those sent directly to you. Okay, so we'll go back to our home screen, and that is my final iteration of My Pet Vet for my Capstone project. And I hope everyone enjoys the project, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Thank you very much.